All right, so hello. I am sitting here in my newly redone backyard, and I'm going to talk to you all about what we did, what my plans were, maybe some cost info, because I do think it's important to know how much a project like this costs, because I never would have guessed that it was going to cost this much. Our budget initially was or what we estimated initially was much lower than what we actually ended up paying. Especially in this age, I mean, stuff is so expensive. So we have lived in our house for 8 years, and all the time that we've lived here, our backyard has just been bare bones. So I'm going to show you a walkthrough of our backyard before. So it's rock, there's dirt, there was like this weird sort of pool-shaped patch in the middle of the yard where there was grass. There was grass initially when we moved in, but we cannot take care of grass and keep it alive, especially in the summer. It gets very hot, it just dries out and dies. It's more expensive than I care to keep up with. You have to like seed, and it's just, it's too much for me. I am not a person that can maintain grass. So we've always wanted to redo this backyard, but I don't know, we haven't planned it out. We haven't put the money in. We've been saving. But I knew that I really wanted to get the backyard redone this summer because my kid is getting old enough that he just like comes out and he plays by himself. And I wanted it to be a place where he could play and not just get dirty. Because, before he was just digging in the dirt, he would come in, like dirt would be all over the house. It was just a hassle. Plus the rock, it was just so hot. Plus the rock is uncomfortable to walk on. We wanted more patio space because all we had before was that concrete slab. So we wanted more patio space. We wanted more of like a play yard that would just be, that's the backyard of my dreams. It's just a place where my kid could come out and play. We sit, we do barbecue. We just sit on the porch. Like we're out here every morning now, like before we go to work, we just sit on the porch. We sit on the patio and we watch Oliver play, and we, eat our breakfast out here sometimes. The one thing we do need to get for sure is more of like a seating situation. So like a bigger table and chairs now that we have like this extra patio space. Like I said, and like you saw, it was all rock and dirt and ugly. And I really wanted it to be, I wanted a big piece of turf. I wanted it to be like an equal area. I did not want like a weird shape. I wanted it to be like big and rectangle because we do have a decently, large sized backyard. I wanted to extend the patio. And then I've wanted to start a garden. So in the corner, we have my sub pods, which is the worm composting system that's been going for almost 2 months now. And I've got some plants in there. And then I have a section of the yard laid out where we're going to do garden beds starting in the fall. So I already have the garden beds. They're 4x8 galvanized steel. Anything that I show you that I can remember that we bought, because most of it we bought on Amazon, truth be told, I will link it down below in case you want to check any of it out. So yeah, like I said, anything that I can remember, I will link it down below so you can just see all the stuff that's in our yard. Obviously, I won't link below anything related to the yard. I guess I can link below the guy that we went with, the landscaping people that we went with. What did it for me, what made us pick them, we did get a couple of estimates, but what made us pick them is I've seen some of their work on the internet. Like I looked them up and it was beautiful work. They did this whole like 3D rendering of our yard of what it would look like, once everything that we talked about they put in. So we almost had our yard done in April, but I'm glad that we didn't because the pavers that we initially wanted, they didn't have. So if we had gotten this done in April, the pavers would have looked different. But I really wanted the specific pavers that we got because the colors of them match our house better. Because we have a little bit of red and pink like in the roof tiles. I wanted that to sort of like flow into the patio pavers. So we have a little bit of like red and pink in the patio pavers. All right, so our backyard is obviously already lived in because it's been a couple of weeks now since we've had this done. So, the kids have come out and played. We've got toys everywhere, but, shoes. But I can show you the general. So this up to that porch here was just concrete slab and it was ugly. I hated it. I wanted to extend the patio out that way so we had more sitting space, more like just a place that we could put the grill because it was sitting on the rocks before. So we've got the grill, Oliver's grill. There's Oliver. We have these chairs that I really like because they recline backwards. So you just have like all this extra space. We've got a kids table right now. That one is from IKEA. That one's not from that one's not from Amazon. But we did get this deck box so we can put some like games out here, because now we have this yard. So we have some yard games. We've got like yard Yahtzee. There's like a ring toss, yard Jenga, and there's some like other games in here. So that's for like when we have company over. Come over, grill some stuff, play some yard games. This over here we didn't do anything to, because there's really like nothing to do. We didn't want to extend the patio this way, just that would have been like too much. Plus we have this tree still, which we need to trim off the top because the top is dead, but it's still growing. So we may at some point plant some more trees in here. I'm thinking maybe we might put some like orchard kind of trees in here, maybe an apple tree, plum, apricot, something like that. We don't know what we're going to do with this yet, but it's not a big deal. It's just sort of off to the side. What I really wanted to do was just extend the patio this way. So then what we also did was we put the turf in. So this was the major expense of our project. This was literally like half of the cost of the entire project was this. We also had this beam replaced because it was all chewed up at the bottom. So that was also something that we had done. We need to paint it, but we're thinking we're going to paint the house later this year. So we're just sort of leaving that for the time being. But I love the patio work. It just looks so good. And it comes up, they did the pavers like around the beam. It just looks so beautiful. Doesn't it? Doesn't it just look so beautiful? I just come out here and I just look at it sometimes because it just looks so good. Okay, so then we did keep the rock on this side because I wanted to put in a couple of trees. So we have a lemon tree. I've always wanted another lemon tree. I had one in a house growing up and I've always wanted another one. So we have a lemon tree. We have an orange tree. And then here is my little garden corner right now. I need to fix that because that fell down. But we've got like basil in there. Look at all my basil. Isn't it humongous? These are my worm sub pods. We've got my vegetables over there. And then we just have general gardening equipment back there that needs to be cleaned up. But this is the area that I've got saved for. We're going to do some 4x8 garden beds. We're going to put 3 big ones in, and then I'll see how much more, what else I can get in here. Maybe we'll put in some like fruit trees up in the front or something. We'll just have to see how much room we've got. But yeah, the turf was what I really wanted. It was the biggest, it was half the expense of this project because I wanted to put out some like yard toys, like this kind of thing. We have like this climbing dome that has a swing in it. We bought this trampoline. We've got a slide. We have a water table, some other plants doing some other things. We're growing some sunflowers right now. So these have just sprouted. Probably late in the season, but whatevs. So the turf does get very hot. In the middle of the day when the sun is like directly underneath this gets very, very hot. So we know that this is not going to get a ton of use like in the hottest parts of the day in the summer, but in the mornings it's beautiful out here. In the evenings it's beautiful out here. Right now it's not so bad because the sun is setting, so it's not like directly on top of the turf. So it actually feels kind of nice. So we have this climbing dome. We brought the turf all the way to the edge of the yard. So I think in total it was like 45 feet of turf. We had some stuff done down there, but we currently have a lot of boxes, so I'm not going to show you that. I'll just show you some pictures. But yeah, we wanted the turf in most of the yard because I wanted it to be a place that, Oliver could play. So that's my yard. For some people, that is not going to be your dream yard. But for me, who has an almost 5-year-old, who loves to be outside, and I love to be outside when it's like nice enough. This is my dream backyard because, we sit on the patio. We've got some, place that we can play yard games. People can come over, we can hang out. It's great for kids because we've got all kinds of toys out here. We've already had my friend over, and her kids had a blast here, and it was just a great time. So this for me is my dream backyard. So like whatever house I move into after this, I don't think we're planning on moving anytime soon, but maybe in the future if I don't know, because I don't really want to leave. Like we're not really planning on having another kid, and it's not something that's going to like accidentally happen either, because we're reproductively challenged. So that's not something that's ever going to just like happen. But right now there isn't a plan for a second kid, so we don't really have a need for more space. We are both working from home, which is the only sort of like downside to our living situation right now. Is we have a 3-bedroom house. It was perfect when it was just me working from home because I've got my office, but unfortunately now my husband is home full time, until he gets another job maybe, but he's on the phone all day. So that's the next thing I think we have to work out, is sort of like our office situation. I might have to just move myself like into the living room or something, get like a standing desk just so I'm out in the living room, because I don't need to be on the phone all the time. My husband does, so he needs to be like in a closed room away like from noise, but I don't necessarily. So that might be our next sort of project, is figuring out the office situations. But this house is perfect for us because we've got the 3 bedrooms, we've got 1 kid, got a really decently sized backyard, because houses these days aren't being built with these like decent sized lots where the backyard it's only like a strip along the side of the house or something. And like for me, that just like doesn't work. Maybe when we get older and we don't have a kid living at home, like that would be an ideal like yard situation. But right now, at this point in our life, this is like the perfect house for us. It's like the right size. It's not too big. It is getting overly cluttered with all of my beauty stuff, but it is what it is. Okay, so cost. So I do want to tell you how much we paid for this, because I would like you to know. Maybe somebody is like coming and looking for this kind of backyard, and like, how much does this cost? Because I had no idea how much this would cost when we went into it. We had a bunch of money saved up. We had gotten all the stimuluses, so we had some extra money saved. So I went into this thinking like, oh, it's going to cost like $5,000, like no big deal. We'll be able to use like basically all of our stimulus money. We won't have to use anything extra, but turf is expensive. The labor is expensive. The patio pavers are expensive. The trees were not super expensive. The trees each were like $155. If we had wanted trees that were about a year older, it would have cost us like $400 each tree. So we did go with a smaller tree just to save, a couple $100. We initially were going to have our landscapers build raised garden beds, but because of the price of wood right now, it was just outrageously expensive for them to build 3 4x8 garden beds. So we just decided to go with the galvanized steel. We saved ourselves like $1,100 because the galvanized steel beds were like $100 each, versus $1,200 for like three garden beds that they were going to build us. So the cost of our project, I'm not including like the toys or anything, because we did buy some like yard stuff, toys and all of that. So the cost of the project, so the pavers, the labor, the turf, the trees, it was $13,500. So like I said, we initially thought this was going to cost us like $5,000, that the turf would be the biggest expense. We somehow, for some reason, thought pavers were like dirt cheap. I don't know why we thought that. So like I said, the turf was about half of the cost of our project. The turf itself was almost $6,000 for the turf plus labor. And then the rest of the expense was the pavers, paver labor. They did irrigate for the garden beds. So we've got some like spouts for the garden beds. They did pre-irrigate those. They irrigated for the trees, and then there is a trash pad and path on the other side of the house that I'll show pictures of, that we also had them put in as well. So not a cheap project, but it is one that is going to add a lot of value to our lives, a lot of value to the house, because it now has a much nicer, more usable backyard. Not that we're looking to sell, but when we do go to sell, this house is perfect as like a starter home for a family that has maybe 1 or 2 kids. Because that's what we have, and that's, what's perfect for us. We had no interest in putting a pool in. That's just more expense than we are looking for. Pools are just very expensive to maintain. On top of how expensive they are to put in, it's probably like $40,000 to build a pool now. It's just crazy. So we were not looking to put a pool in. So yeah, 13.5 was the project. We also had the front irrigated a couple of months ago. So that was like another $1,000 for them to irrigate the front and put in a few extra bushes because we have bougainvillea. We had them put more bougainvillea because you don't see any hanging over the wall here. We had them put more, you know, alongside these walls just for extra privacy because I like the bougainvillea for privacy. Nobody's like climbing over the walls with the bougainvillea like super tall because, you know, they're all pointy. So we had some front yard work done as well. So we have the front is done, the back is done. So our yards are completely done. And then we did spend a decent amount of money on some like yard equipment. So we bought the climbing dome, we bought a water table, we bought the trampoline. So I guess in total, our like yard projects came out to be, I want to say like roughly 16,000, you know, front, back, and then like the yard toys and stuff like that. So like I said, again, I'll link everything below in case you want to check any of it out, in case any of it looked of any interest to you. But Oliver loves it. He loves coming out here in the mornings. This is like the first thing we do every single morning. We come out here and we play and we sit in the chairs. Like it's perfect at this time of the day because the sun is coming behind me. So the shade starts to go over the yard, you know, like out that way. So it's perfect. I like to come out here in the afternoons. Oliver plays in the shade. I read my books out here. So this was, I wanted to show you our dream yard renovation. You know, it's not spectacular. It's not fancy. It's not like a luxurious place to get away, but this is my perfect backyard. I love it. I love it. So I'm excited to share with you guys when I set up the garden beds and when we finally get that going, because I will film that. I want to do more sort of like gardening content on my channel. And yeah, I really wanted to share with you our backyard project because it was a long time coming. Like I said, again, we've been here for 8 years and we just had dirt and rock the whole time. I am so glad we finally did this. I'm glad we have all this turf, this like amazing space for my kid to run around, you know, to have people come over. Jesse is out here now. You know, the cats come out here and they sit. Pugsley loves it out here. He just sits and he chills under, you know, like the trampoline. He sits in the grass. He chases the bugs around. So even the cats love it out here. So I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope it was helpful if maybe you're looking at doing this kind of thing. Jesse, doing this kind of project to your yard where it's like patio work and pavers and like how much it realistically costs, because I did not expect it to cost what it did, but for me it was a worthwhile investment because our backyard just really needed a facelift very badly. So that's all that I've got for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I hope that it was helpful. And yeah, everything will be linked down below that I've talked about. I'll even link below our landscapers in case you're in the area and you want a recommendation for somebody I think did a great job. They were very easy to communicate with. They listened to all my needs. They gave me exactly what I wanted. And they actually did come in lower than, you know, some of the other companies that we got estimates from. But I chose them because, I mean, they were lower. They were lower priced. And the 3D rendering just sort of like sealed the deal for me. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.